Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to be reading the Earth class notes written by the 12th Apostle on 3 hours. Now I will write this special Earth class about the most important brief time in human history, the last 3 hours in the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. I will also use some numerical significance regarding that brief, most unique time that appeared to be a paradox, but this is the legal subject, issue, and the true fact that our salvation, forgiveness, our future, and now God's plan is based upon. Were there other ways of forgiving responsible human souls of sin and its consequences on altered earth? Yes, by their believing and trusting Him, but so few did. What about after Jesus Christ, God's only begotten Son, was born, lived a sinless life on altered earth? Yes, but even fewer believed what He said and did. When the obvious results of humanity's stubborn unbelief began to eliminate all legal options for their personal pardon, Jesus, knowing this the night before His crucifixion, He prayed, saying, "Father, if Thou be willing, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but Thine be done." Luke 22:42. And being in agony, He prayed more earnestly, and His sweat was as were great drops of blood falling down to the ground. Luke 22:44. This traces all the way back to the Genesis record that Moses wrote when God placed a temporal mortal shell over the spirit body of the only man God ever created in His image, called Adam. "In the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread till thou return unto the ground." Genesis 3:19a. Even though Moses' writings leaves much to be desired, the basic truth is there in the extreme symbolism. But Jesus would not have prayed an impossible prayer that could not be answered if His crucifixion was predestined. Nevertheless, He closed His prayer with submitting His sovereign will to His Father, God's will, believing He knew best about the great unknown consequences of that choice that He did not understand. And no, that night, Judas, the most charismatic and trusted disciple by the others, betrayed Jesus after Jesus had told the oldest and boldest of the disciples, Peter, that he would deny that he even knew Jesus 3 times before the cock crows at the first light of day. Judas had conspired with the religious leaders to betray Jesus and lead the Roman soldiers to Jesus that night for 30 pieces of silver, Matthew 26:15. That was the legal accepted price of a gored servant, Exodus 21:31-32. Judas soon repented when he saw that Jesus was going to be crucified and went back into the great temple that Solomon had built through high taxation on all the Jews there to give the money back to the high priest, but they would not accept blood money. So Judas threw it down on the temple floor and went out and hanged himself through regret for what he had done. Jesus was crucified from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. for 6 hours, with 6 being the number of man. But the last 3 hours was His great tribulation that all legal issues are now based upon, even God's justice and our pardon. The Jewish means of counting daylight mortal time began at 6 a.m. So, from the 6th hour until the 9th hour would be from 12 noon to 3 p.m. There was darkness over all the land unto the 9th hour. Matthew 27:45 at 3 p.m. And behold, the veil of the temple was rent, tore open into the Holy of Holies, where the Ark of the Covenant was kept, in twain from top to bottom. Matthew 27:51a. That veil was a very large, heavy curtain that could only be opened from the bottom, that was touching the floor of the temple upward by 2 strong men with ropes and pulleys on either side of the curtain that contained many badger skins. As noted, this long, thick, strong, heavy curtain that closed the entrance to the Holy of Holies in the temple was tore open from top to bottom, probably by the holy angel Gabriel, when Jesus said, "It is finished. Father, into thy hands I commend my spirit." This was at 3 p.m., and the light had returned, for God had shadowed that shame with darkness for 3 hours, from 12 noon to 3 p.m., to hide the horror of the demon attacks that could only be seen by mortal eyes in quick glimpses from the lightning flashes, with the loud thunderings concealed some of the ghoulish gurglings and the screams of Jesus as those misfit beings tore at his mortal body, causing it to be stooped over and turning his dark golden hair gray and then white. And this is why Mary Magdalene did not recognize the resurrected mortal body of Jesus. When she first saw him, she supposed him to be the old gardener. John 20:15b. The reason that the veil curtain in the temple was rent from top to bottom revealed the way to God was now open to all responsible, repentant human souls on altered earth, free from any and all ritual that had not helped humanity's unbelief, as they trusted the rituals rather than the reality that the rituals represented. Therefore, the sovereign choices of Jesus and God to conquer the great unknown and weave their wills together through the greatest power there is of love, revealed in the last 3 hours of Jesus' crucifixion, that this truly is the greatest event of all spirit and mortal time in heaven and on earth. Thank you so much for joining me. And thank you so much for your time. Until next time.